All right, hello and welcome to Swing It and Ding It, an iHeartMedia podcast. This is Moose along with Harry Mays, and we are sponsored by Draftkings Sportsbook. More on that when we see the line later, because there's still golf after a major, Harry. I mean, there's still money to be made out there on tour. Also, our friends at All Access GTE just found out they will be back for our golf outing, doing the old hole one for the trip to Ireland. So that'll be fun. But so more on that later. And also Comcast Business, introducing ultimate speed for business, the fastest internet plans yet from Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Harry, where do we start? Do we start with Xander or do we start with Scotty? I
I think we got to start with Scotty, because that just kind of hijacked the whole weekend. It was one of the most bizarre circumstances I can recall. I mean, this kind of brought me back to like the Bronco chase in the mid '90s of bizarreness.
Or even like, to me, even sort of the Tiger crash,
the Tiger thing,
like,
the crash, right? Yeah, it was, and let's point out a person did lose their life in this whole situation, which I know we talk about golf. But man, your heart has to go out to that man's family. He's a retired guy out there to try to work, volunteer. Probably was looking forward to this for years. Once he found out that the PGA was coming to Louisville, and then he obviously lives in the area and was going to work it, and he gets hit by a bus in the dark at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. And I mean, it's just, which then started the whole chain of events, which leads to the world's number one player in the world doing calisthenics in a jail cell and then going and shoot 66.
The whole thing was absolutely wild. You see it first. Danielle texts us right up, sends us the thing, and you're checking. Is this real? Like, this is because you don't believe anything right now that's out there. You have to double check it.
Sure.
And from Kevin McKeon was down there. He said it was a mess. Like, all there were cones, but like you didn't know what the cones meant, and it just seemed like it was a disaster down there, which is going to be an issue, I think, for the PGA or the owners of that course. I'm not sure, but I mean, the whole thing is just surreal, right? There's, Jeff Darlington just happens to be right there,
and Bob was choosing too.
But Jeff's the one who jumps out and documents it. Gets the footage, covered it incredibly well, and talked about it incredibly well. And it seems like everything he said is exactly what happened, and that's tough. You're recanting something. It seems, like you said. It's dark. It's raining. There's flashing lights all around you, right? It's like it was a perfect storm for something to happen, and it probably could have happened to any of the golfers, but it happens to the world number one golfer, which just makes it incredible. I mean, then we're watching it, and you see, like, all right, you think he's going to get out. Then you see he has some serious charges levied against him. So you're like, how could he get out in time to get to the golf course and play? And then even how could he play?
Well, the owners of that golf course have a good lawyer. That's how it happened. And and that's what, words begin to trickle out about this. The other police officers in the Louisville Police Department, they know who Scotty Scheffler is. This guy probably, I guess, didn't, but they do. And they're like, oh my God, we got Scotty Scheffler in the jail. So, and one of the crazy things, and we're going to break this all down, but was Scotty's press conference after his round, talking about, his reverence for police in general, and how great they were towards him. And, they had a nice chat. Several of the officer wants, you want the full treatment? And he's like, what are you talking about? What do you want, a sandwich? Sure, I'll take a sandwich. He's eating sandwiches with him and having a nice chat. And he's doing his stretching routine in the jail cell because he's watching TV of him on Get Up or whatever, showing this video. And they're talking about how his round starts in an hour and whatever time. And he's like thinking like, man, I might be able to make it if I can get out of here.
But that drove me crazy that no one asked, like, was anyone else in there with you? Was anyone else in the jail? So, like, I wanted to know what
I want to see this jail cell.
Yeah, was he just by himself? Was he in a drunk tank? Like, where? I need to know more about this. Yeah, there's going to be a 30 for 30 one day. We're going to have to wait for that. But
how about the photo with the jumpsuit on?
That's what I was going to say. Then the mugshot drops, and you're like, no way, somebody made this.
Yeah,
Somebody made this.
Right. This is Barstool or something. Photoshopping something.
Yeah, I mean, and then just the fact that he goes out. They said he walked in, hey, what's up, guys, to all the players and player dining, took down a huge plate of eggs.
Right.
goes out to the range and just starts hitting balls. Now, I thought it was very strange, right? You see Ricky come up and dap him up, and like I'm going to stay out of this guy's way. He's got 40 minutes to get ready for a major, but like it was strange to me. He walks up next to Rahm, and again, we don't see all the angles. Who knows? But it looks like he didn't even look at him. They didn't even look at each other, right? Like that just was really strange to me, right? If who knows what's going on.
If I played like John Rahm did on Thursday and Friday, I don't know that I'd have been looking at him either.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a whole other story.
It is.
But yeah, this is one of the things, and this is one of the things that struck me about it, and how you can relate. We try to relate things to our own golf experience. I'm looking at the timeline. He got to the club at like 9:10 or something, and his tee time was 10:08. So he has less than an hour to get in there, scarf down the eggs like he did, and change clothes, put on shoes, and get out to the range, which is a pretty significant walk, down to the range, and start a warm up. Hit
about
balls.
40 minutes longer than I've ever had for
exactly. Well, yeah, you come in hot, but I'm just saying, like even if you think,
I'm also not Scotty Scheffler, so.
But even if you think like, oh man, I don't have enough time, like you do, because I was watching him hit balls, and he's just very calmly hitting a couple, probably hit 3, maybe 4 in each minute, but he's taking a breath in between. It's like we have more time than we really think we do.
Yeah.
To get in a warm up. He even, with 11 minutes to go, walked over and threw a couple balls in a bunker, and he's hitting bunker shots. I'm like, dude, I'm thinking you got to get to the tee,
Right.
And then he went to the putting green on the way to the tee, and it had to walk up the hill, and he had 2 minutes to spare or whatever it was. Like, I came away with it thinking like, man, you take a breath. Like if you're arriving at Legacy Club and you're pulling in on 2 wheels into the parking lot thinking like, I got a tee time in 15 minutes. You do have more time than your brain thinks you do.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, we're so used to getting yelled at by the starters,
right.
Our tee times are so backed up around here because we're all trying to get our golf in. But yeah, I mean, and again, like the other thing too, like you said, the way he just took his time, like, and we've talked to people, different teachers about this, where guys will talk about PGA players where they'll go to the range at their home club, and the only 2 players out there with like some sort of sticks or alignment rods are the pros, are the 2 pros, and everyone else is just like whacking ball after ball at rapid fire, boom, 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 with no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, probably not even looking at a target. They're just hitting the ball,
just whacking away, right? And it's like if you just took your time and had a little bit of a plan, you probably have plenty of time to do what you need to do. But then it seemed like, obviously, I'm sure he had a lot of conversations with attorneys after that, right? A lot, his whole family, his poor wife who just has a baby, is home. He didn't have his phone on him. They never said, like, that's the stuff I don't know why it wasn't asked. Like, was Teddy with him in the car? Who was he driving with? Like, what happened at that point? Because it had to be.
I think he was alone in the car.
Oh, you think he was by himself?
When the whole thing happened, I think he was going in there by himself.
Really? And you think about it, it's like, well, why would these guys drive themselves? But
a lot of them do.
They do, right? Like, if the Sixers are playing, they're driving their cars to the parking lot. Right. They're not getting rides. But yeah, I mean, it seems to be, you would think that there would be some sort of like easier way to get these players in and out of these courses.
But I mean, they're the only ones driving those cars. They're all the same color. They're all the same brand and model. Like if Lexus or whoever, had the Mercedes, whoever had the contract for the thing, they're all driving the same color and the same, type of vehicle.
Marked.
And the cop, whoever it was, I forget his name, obviously that he wasn't focused on that, or he didn't care, because there's no need to jump on the car if it's a player in the tournament. I mean, that was the overzealousness of that police officer exacerbated this whole situation.
I really hope now I saw something yesterday where they said there wasn't body cam footage, but they do think there's other footage. There has to be cameras out front of those gates.
I would think so.
Because like I couldn't stop saying attached himself to the vehicle. Like, it was the wildest phrase I had ever heard.
And then how about the tweet about him? His pants got torn up. He needs new $80 slacks or something. And he had cuts and bruises and had to be taken to the hospital.
I mean, you could see it happen, right? Hey, stop right there. And Scotty's like, no, I'm going right here. I'm Scotty Scheffler. I'm going to play. And he just takes off. And the cop's like, I gave you an order, and just chases after the car and jumps on it. And it's raining, right? I don't know how good a grip is on the side of that courtesy vehicle, but I mean, just a surreal couple hours of just figuring out what's going on.
Yeah.
And then, you got Marty Smith running down the driveway trying to get a
Right.
quote from him. And, you look at the range, there's like 500 people behind him and then no one else looking at anyone else warm up. But the crowd got behind him all day, all
Yeah.
weekend. I mean, they always are, but even more supporting him. But, the next day it seemed to take its toll. He doesn't
Yeah.
have Ted Scott there with him.
Yeah.
It's
That was a big deal.
that adrenaline had to have, fallen out and really affected him at that point.
Yeah. Well, how about he dunks it on his first hole? I mean, that's the other thing. Like it's like, what is happening here? This is like a movie.
Yeah. I mean, the guy is and we'll look at his odds. He's playing again. You think he would take a week off.
I know.
After a major for a non-elevated event, but it's in Texas.
It's in
right?
Fort Worth, Dallas area, which
So
is
he probably
where he's
has
from.
obligations with sponsors and all. But like, if there's ever a week to be like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to hang with the baby and talk to my attorneys and, see how much community service I'm going to be teaching golf lessons at the first tee of Louisville.
I think all these charges are going to get dropped.
Yeah, I think so.
To be honest with you.
I think so.
But yeah. And then next week's the Canadian Open. He's obviously not going to play in that. And then after that, you got Memorial, US Open, and then the trip to Connecticut, which is to the Travelers, which is an elevated event. So that's 3 in a row right there that he will be playing in. So, yeah, I mean, if he was going to take an extra week off, you'd think it'd be this week, but he's obviously doing it for sponsors and for the local community.
But even when he doesn't win, he's still the story.
Yeah.
But Harry, I'm shocked. I said it on the podcast last week. I'm not believing in Xander until he gets it done.
Yep.
He did have a different look in his eye. He admitted the way that he approached things and being able to slow things down, and you saw it, and it was an incredible performance. He starts out tied with Morikawa on Sunday, goes 6 under 65 for 21 under total, one shot over Bryson, which I love watching Bryson. Right?
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
He has the lowest 72 hole score to par, end score total 263 in major history.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy starts out with a 62. He's on 61 watch. We had 2 61 watches, but he starts out on Friday with or Thursday with a 61 watch for a 62. But we'll talk about it all. But that 18, he drives the ball. Bryson's on the range, licking his chops, looking at the video, and you look where that ball lands, and you're like, oh man, is he going to be able to stand there? Where's it? And here he is with the ball several feet above his feet, and he hits it 239 to 35 feet away. To me, that was the best shot I have seen in a pressure moment in a major in a long time.
Yeah, it was with a 4-iron, and there was some great discussion with he and his caddy prior to it, like where to take this thing, where to leave it, where can we leave it where we can get up and down for birdie? And he even admitted this too. I thought he was great in the post round press conference. Yeah. He admitted he did not want to go to a playoff with Bryson DeChambeau with his length on that hole. He knows Bryson's getting there easily in 2, and it's like this could be see you later. Like I got to go win this thing. And I got to win it now.
And it's funny. Remember the old Donovan McNabb about didn't know the playoff rules? Like he was like, yeah, I wouldn't want to go 18. They weren't going back to 18. It was a three-hole aggregate.
3-hole aggregate, but still.
Which I guess it would have included 18.
It would have included 18.
He seemed like he thought he would have headed right back to 18. Those guys don't even, I don't think that far ahead. They're like, we're going to win it now and then figure out the rest later. My team will tell me what I'm doing.
Right. But if you're Xander, you're like, your career up until this point, it's like, this is how I blow it, is I don't win it here. And I go to extra holes or however many there are, and I lose it.
Yeah.
And I thought that I texted you early in the day, we were going back and forth. I'm like, he's got a different look in his eye. This guy looks different today. And the guy that looked like he typically looks on a day like this was his Colin Morikawa.
Yeah,
that's who looked like I'm just going to make pars. I'm hoping to not make any bogeys, and he ended up shooting par and fell down the leaderboard.
When Xander bogeyed 10, though, I'm like,
right. You're thinking same old Xander. Here we go. And he did something
with those guys around him. And then luckily, a lot of the guys had fallen off, and it really was just Bryson that was still. But Hovland too.
Hovland emerged.
Yeah, Hovland out of nowhere. Like those two guys. There's some big names that can do some pretty nasty things out there to be chasing you.
And he did something stupid in that bunker, fairway bunker on 10, and credit to Trevor Immelman, who said it right away. Like, I don't like this. This is like, I don't like this play.
Yeah.
And he went in there with a fairway metal and tried to hit it out of that bunker. He got it out of the bunker, but he put it in some bad rough, short and right of the green, and ends up making a bogey. And you're thinking, here we go, same old Xander Schauffele. Now Bryson's gonna, charge to win it. He's gonna win the thing, right?
Yeah.
But then he comes with back-to-back birdies on 11 and 12, and you're like, wow. He just re-grabbed the tournament, which I thought was really awesome. So, and how about Rory? Never really a factor. They were begging for him on Sunday to make a run. Ian Baker Finch he had the pom-poms out, and it just wasn't happening.
It's so funny because you think about I was watching someone and they see Patrick Reed in the background. I'm like, they didn't show that guy one time.
No.
They did not show. And then I look and I see Billy Horschel was T8. I'm like, I didn't see one golf shot from Billy Horschel.
I saw one. I saw one. I think it was his birdie. I think he birdied 18, and I saw that. That was it.
Yeah, so let's go through the we'll talk about Bryson on 18 too, because again, he doesn't put that ball where he wants to off the tee, and he's someone that could eagle that hole pretty easily if he puts that ball in the middle of the fairway. And it's so hard to do. That's why the guys that do it under pressure consistently are just so impressive. So Bryson goes in second. Hovland back with the coach hair, back with the old ball coach.
Joe Mayo is back. I know he was at the Dead and Company show at the Sphere over the weekend shooting video on his Instagram, but he's back with the Victor, and who knows? I mean, that could be the whole reason. Like, he was playing with confidence and hitting great irons.
Yep. T4 Dietrich, who I actually had in my lineup. He was one of the only guys that performed in my lineup.
Yeah, he had a good week.
Morikawa was the other T4. And then these two guys. How about Rosie and Lowry here?
Yeah.
I mean, these guys they get up for majors. That. I really thought Shane was going to make that 61, man. I was locked in on that, and he wanted it bad.
That was on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were playing together on Saturday. He did. They're front nines, both of them playing in the same group, 29 and 31 respectively, Lowry and Rose. How about that?
And you know what I love too? Because you don't see this enough, but Lowry hits that shot out of the rough onto the green at 18 in a pretty decent spot, and Rose gives him the thumbs up standing on the green, right? Like, you don't see other players doing that, but he knew what was at stake there, right? That's his guy. Right. That's his European Ryder Cup guy. Right. But when you and I play, no matter how poorly I'm playing, if you hit a great shot, I know we're not professionals and playing for money, but every now and then you see that, and I just think it's awesome when it happens. It's
totally cool. But getting back to Bryson, though, bogey free on Sunday, shot 64, 7 under par. How about, we talked about Xander on the 10th hole. He's in the group or two, one or two groups ahead. Bryson hits driver 6-iron to the green. It was almost a 600-yard hole, and he's hitting driver 6-iron to the green. And then on the 16th hole, I believe his drive hit the tree and bounced out into the fairway. He had 220 left and hit 8-iron.
That's crazy.
Now I know his 8-iron has a long shaft, and and it's made in a 3D printer and all this stuff, and he's designed it. But man, he is just, I can't take my eyes off him when he's in a golf tournament anymore.
I love it. He says goofy stuff and all that, but you see some of the other stuff you see where he makes sure he runs up to Xander and congratulates him.
Yeah.
Where he throws that ball to the kid and the guy takes it. He tells the guy to bring it back. He does the golf things, the etiquette of golf better than most, right? Is he going to give you a soundbite about engineering and science that's going to blow your mind? Yes. But when it comes to the golf side of things, I love watching him, and I miss seeing it. I know. Well, you can watch him on live. It's
it's not the same. I've done it. It's not the same.
Yeah. So but they have to figure it out. To me, the biggest takeaway is they need to figure this out.
Yeah.
Right. Because if things, continued on this path, and the guys that haven't won majors are not in the official World Golf rankings to get into majors, and we're missing out on seeing these guys play. The Koepkas, right, who's going to be in majors for a while. But, other guys, that Cam Smiths, right, same thing. These guys have won. That's why they're going to continue to be there. But who are the next guys behind them that, we're not going to see in a major unless they figure this out? And until they start thinking about what the fans that pay for all this care about, we're in trouble.
Yeah. And you mentioned Koepka. Outside of the first day, you really didn't see much of him either. He was not a factor. Cam Smith was not a factor. A couple of guys that I thought would play well. I thought Rahm would play well. I had him in one and done, and I'm thinking, he's coming in here with an axe to grind. I mean, he couldn't have been worse. I saw about every shot he hit in the first 2 days because of the PGA Tour Live, where you can just follow whoever you want.
We heard a little bit, right? We talked about it because it was during when we recorded where he had already given a press conference, and it was strange how he's still a member of the PGA Tour. And from what I saw from a couple sound bites, that did not sit well with a lot of the PGA Tour players. And when when we talked about Scotty not acknowledging him there, like I think a lot of guys were like, get out of here. And I think a guy like Rahm, who is emotional and
he wants to be liked. He wants to be liked.
That could really affect him. And I think this is weighing on him. It's interesting. So Forbes puts out the list of richest athletes for the past year. And Rahm's number 2 on the list.
Who's number 1?
200 Ronaldo, I think. $218 million in the past 12 months, and it's all the live money. There were 5 golfers in the top 50. You had Rahm. You had 19th. You had Rory at $80 million, which if he signed with Live, he would have been the highest.
Yeah.
Tiger still $63 million with all the endorsements. 23rd. Scheffler $59 million, 29th, and that's probably more from winning.
Yeah, he earned it.
Yeah, and then Cam Smith at 43rd, $48 million.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, I'm sure over in Australia, he's like everywhere. Like as far as marketing,
he's got to be endorsing everything.
It's sort of like Hideki Matsuyama, in Japan when he won the Masters. I mean, things went crazy for him.
Yeah, but the crazy part is Scheffler still gets a T8 in a major after spending a million in jail. Right?
Yeah, and shooting 2 over on the 3rd round.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. But I thought it was a great week. I mean, there were over 50 holeouts. I mean, it just that Zoysia grass is apparently much easier to chip off. I should get on Zoysia grass. It would probably help my chipping. But I mean, there were holeouts everywhere. The other thing that jumped out at me were all the mud balls on the first 2 days. I don't know where you sit with this thing, but to me, it's so random where a guy can hit the ball, pipe it down the fairway and get a big, speck of mud on one of the sides. Another guy hits it and nothing happens to his ball. Or maybe you hit it in the rough and you don't get mud ball, and you end up having a better shot because there's no mud on your ball. In a tournament that important, what would you think about, just ball in hand?
Live clean in place.
Easy?
Right? Like, well, if there's a chance of getting mud balls because of it's muddy,
in the fairway,
then why wouldn't it have been live clean in place that day? I mean, I know the purists are like, play it out, but like, to your point, and again, it's the same thing as a fairway divot. Well, not the same, but it's similar to the whole fairway divot thing, right? You hit a ball perfectly, and you could wind up in a fairway divot. You have to play it, right? Well, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is there, but it is. And there were some conflicting mud theories going around between Brandel and the mustache guy.
Paul McGinley or
no, the guy who does all the stuff on the course.
Johnson Wagner.
I
thought was terrific, by the way.
There were some major mud discrepancies, Harry, that we need to figure out, right? Because one of them says if the mud's on this side, the ball goes this way. The other Johnson was like, no, it's wrong. It's the other way.
Well, I've always heard that if the mud is, let's say the mud is on the right side of the ball, it's going to go left.
Yes, that's what Johnson was saying.
That's what I always heard. What Brandel said, it was the other way.
I might be wrong there, but I know that there was a disagreement. I want to disagree with Brandel no matter what.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But how about that Johnson Wagner, man?
He was great.
I saw. I think it was Jeff Eisenband tweeted like right away, like it was a picture of him like this, and he's like, "Hear me out, producer. I'm going to spend the morning in a jail cell." Like you could see him doing something like that.
Sure.
Because,
he's entertaining on this. Like,
really
he was never the best golfer. He was a journeyman kind of guy, but he's got a good personality. Doesn't take himself too seriously, obviously, which is
with a mustache like that.
Yeah, exactly. And, I just found the segments where they had him out on the 18th hole hitting shots. The way he was, handling the camera, it's like he's done this for 20 years. He's kind of a natural.
He skulls those two.
He sculled it. Yeah.
2 shots that guys had to take.
Yeah.
He was a big story, but I mean, I don't know. I think that's all you need at one out of a major and more, right? And that's why they are what they are. What'd you think about Valhalla? I mean, I know we talked about it playing a little soft, and I was messed up so bad. Scott Van Pelt was doing a live and they're showing that waterfall, and this massive snake comes slithering through the rocks and disappears. That's all I thought about the whole rest of the tournament.
Yeah, they showed that snake quite a bit. I think the one they were showing was on the 18th hole water hazard that sits off to the
Yeah.
right, but that looked like a big snake. I don't know what snake it was, or whether a water moccasin or something. It looked dangerous to
I'm
me.
out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not getting anywhere near that.
Mm.
But you talked about, there was a lot of people, sort of the purists would be upset with lift clean in place. The
Yeah.
purists apparently were upset with Valhalla, because how dare a major championship venue that got deluged with rain all week give up 21, a winning score of 21 under and a second place score of 20 under. And this is just, it's an affront to golf, and they get all bent out of shape. Why do we care so much about what the final score is? In a
Everyone's playing the
golf
same
tournament,
golf course.
everybody's playing the same. You're exactly right. And there was drama. I mean, it came down to the final hole, the final shot, and that's all we can really ask for. How could we control the weather? We can't. There was no wind. There was rain all week, like you said, that softened it up. And yeah, maybe some of the pins were in easier spots, or maybe there wasn't enough, penalty for missing a shot into a green. I hear about these architect guys that go crazy about this stuff, but my God, it was an entertaining tournament. That's
really
all
was.
I need.
It was. How 18, how many times have you and I played that hole 10 times are we in that bunker right in front of the green that kind of wraps?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I would have been in that bunker every single time.
Absolutely. Yeah. The one that kind of splits the green in half. Yeah.
I think that's an awesome finishing hole too.
It really is.
You have to be strategic.
Yeah.
Right. And guys did not want to be right of that. That's why a lot of guys wound up in that bunker and that left rough. They did not want to be over. I guess there was just no angle to get over that bunker from right, because it looked like there's so much fairway. Why are these guys all hugging the left side?
Yeah. There's that other fairway.
It cost Xander. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. There was that one, hole with the dual fairways. There was that sure part forward. Toasty went for it like
13. Yeah.
Which I can't believe Bryson didn't go for that. That was.
Well, I think if he was out of the tournament and, 5 under par on a Sunday, he would have given the fans a treat.
Yeah.
But he was trying to win it, and that would have been stupid to do it if he's winning. Toasty was like, way out of the tournament, and he can bomb it, and he just gave people some entertainment. I think Spieth tried it too and ended up in the water.
Mm.
He came up short, but yeah. And then they had the short par 4 fourth hole, which really confounded a lot of players. There weren't as many birdies on that hole as you might have thought. There was guys who were making pars and bogeys on that hole. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. Rahm made a bogey on that hole.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, tremendous job by Xander. Now he has a major to go along with his gold medal, and maybe he winds up back in Paris to get a second gold medal.
Very true.
But I think we all, everyone has said it. He needed that, right? He hadn't won since 22. I think we said.
Mm-hmm.
So good for Xander.
I thought it would have been good for golf, obviously, if Xander wins, because he's such a good player and needs one to sort of get over the hump. It would have been good if Morikawa won it. It would have been his third, and really sort of put him in a different, stratosphere, so to speak. And it would have been great if Bryson won it. I know he's on live, but man, that would have been his second. And, he just does golf a different way. And I've really come around to it. There's no way that I can do anything that he does. Not even, 1/10 of what he does in any respect. But I love watching him.
Almost makes me feel better. Right.
Yeah.
It's because when you look at guys like, I could do that.
Right.
I wish everybody was like Bryson. I'd feel better about my game. But
yeah, exactly.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Swing It and Ding It. Harry, let's talk about ourselves. We've talked about the pros. We talked about the majors. It's funny because you and I seem to be going through a very similar problem with our irons and finishing our swing and getting through to the left side.
Yeah.
How's that going? How's that process? How's that journey going for you, Harry?
It's still going. And, I'm adding, components to it. It's like kind of a layered situation. But I'm hitting some really solid shot. Like I played around on Sunday with 3 other guys, and I made pars on the 2 top handicap holes at the 1912 club. The 5th hole, which I know you know well, and the 17th hole, which was the converted par 5 to a par 4. Made pars on those. So first time that's ever happened in the same round where I made par on both of them. So, and made a couple mistakes. One was a mental error, which cost me a double. I had 2 doubles, but one was a mental error that I know I did the wrong thing. So that can be fixed. Another was just a bad break. I clipped a leaf just the, you know, edge of a leaf, which kept my drive from where it should have been. It ended up making double, would have easily made par or bogey at worst. And then the other one was just a bad swing. So bad decision, bad luck, and a bad swing were the 3 bad holes I had, which is a lot less than it was 2 weeks ago. So we're minimizing the big damage and trying to get that takeaway more inside on the way back, which is going to help me to keep my weight on my front side as I come through. And less rerouting of the golf club, which kind of sets me back on my right side, and sometimes I can't get off. And that's all bad. You're going to chunk it. You're just not going to get a solid strike. So that's
every time I hit a great shot, I've realized that I am all on my left foot. My arms are up. My follow through is consistent.
You end up looking right at the target. All your body weight is there. Yeah.
But like mentally, sometimes you just don't do it. Like you just don't get there. And I'm trying to, I feel like when I played golf 5-6 years ago, I was scoring better the less I knew about a golf swing.
Ah, interesting.
I just was a hockey player out there swinging. You knew how hard I swung, and now I wasn't doing that. I was so technical and trying that, like, now listen, I got out late yesterday at the Legacy Club and I shot a horrible round, but I also hadn't played in 2 weeks and really tried to work on the stuff I'm working on. It's funny how we talk about the weather here and what we deal with, and then all of a sudden it's beautiful out and you and I deal with some allergies. Harry, I had never seen anything like it at the Legacy Club yesterday. You remember during last summer with the wildfires? It looked like that. It looked like smoke blowing through the course.
But it was pollen.
It was pollen.
Yeah.
I had never seen anything like it. I mean, I had it. I went home, sinus rinse, sprays, like everything you could do to try to fight this off. But like, it's always something here. Harry, we can never just have 70 degrees and beautiful and great day for golf. It's either rain. Now we got pollen. We'll probably have cicadas next. What's going to happen?
I don't know, but the pollen storms, like where you see the wind blowing and you can see it blow off the trees, the yellow dust. It's incredible. It's all over the cars and everything. But yeah, I take a Claritin every day and I still battle it.
Yeah, I do 3 to 4 different things: nighttime, daytime, everything. It's just, I know some people get shots, and some people, then I heard some people say it didn't work for them. But Harry, my goal, all eyes are on the Green Valley member guest.
Okay.
A couple weeks, mid-June. I've set that as one of my goals when we set our goals, right? To just maybe make a playoff, right? Play some good golf. I just want to show up and show out for Greeny, right? The poor guy, he's got to see a chiropractor after every time we do this, just carrying the squad, right? He knows most days he's got to score the points, and I just want to help out. I just want to contribute and help my boy out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just win a couple of holes, man. That's really, all you can do. But win your flight. Just try to, win that flight. That would be a great accomplishment. I entered into the Senior Club Championship at the 1912 Club, which is in early August. So that's my first major. And my second major is the Fall Classic, which is the member in the fall. Yeah. That's what they call it, the Fall
You and
Classic.
I played in that one year, right?
I think that was the one where we played together. Yeah, because I like the fall better. The fall's when... Awesome. The golf to me in this area is the best typically then. So I'm entered it with a guy named Adam Blom, who's a really good player. He's a single digit handicap. And the formats are, well, you remember, it's like first is better ball partners, then a scramble with your partner. And then the next day is alternate shot and add them up. Those are the 4 9-hole segments. So, and the Senior Club Championship is 36 holes gross. I just want to see where I fall on that. It's just, so those are my 2 things that I'm aiming for. So hopefully we'll get this weight shift and takeaway, ironed out by then.
And in time for our golf outing, which is coming together nicely. A lot of the things that we do on a consistent basis will be there. Like our friend Wes Patterson will be out there, who's always a huge hit.
Oh, he's great.
He just sends it, on the driving range before. He's letting guys use his club, and then he hits a drive for everybody.
Will it be the same hole as last year?
I think so. It just it sets up really well. I need to do something because I had too much going on. Right, if you remember, you had 13 mall Chevy.
There was a lot right there. Yeah.
Well, the Tito's bar was there, Harry.
Well, that's true.
And also the lovely Buckle Bunnies from Xfinity Live were also on the putting green. That's a lot going on that slows guys down. So I'm gonna have to figure out something with that.
Yeah, it's It's like sensation overload. You're like, whoa.
Well, I'm supposed to go hit a golf ball, and
Right.
then it's cool. I'll send a picture of it. They put this little like gazebo, like right if you like right where the cart barn is, like looking down at 1, but it looks out at 18. You remember Sean Brace was doing play-by-play from up at the patio. I was relaying it back and forth to him, so I think we might have a good place to do some play-by-play. But
Nice.
yeah, excited. Got a lot of good stuff going on for the outing. We have who'd you go with 1 and done? I went with Sanjay.
This week or last week?
Yeah, this week.
This week, I went with Brian Harmon.
I can't take him. I can't stand watching him. I can't take him.
Oh, the waggles are a lot. He's a lot, but he has 3 top 10s at this golf course, even though they've changed the golf course somewhat. And he's had a lot of success recently at some of the correlated golf courses to Colonial. And he's got the early late tee time, which I like. I seem to like that better. Guys get out early on Thursday, get a couple under par, and then Friday, they're not scrambling to make the cut.
Yeah. All right. I like that. How about a couple other winners last week? It's hard when it's a PGA Championship and everything going on with Scotty, but Nelly Corda.
Yeah.
And then Harry Higgs.
Harry Higgs on the Corn Ferry Tour comes through with a win, which probably helped to get him back on the PGA Tour. But you talk about Nelly, man. You talk the hottest golfer on the planet is Nelly Corda. 6 wins.
Scotty can't win this week.
Starts.
I'm going to win.
Yeah. 6 wins. Yeah. Well, imagine if Nelly ended up, in some sort of scrape and had to go to prison. Crazy. But 6 wins in 7 starts, winning at Liberty National. She defeated Hannah Green by 1 shot. Hannah bogeyed the final hole, which prevented a playoff. And Nelly went 3 under on the back. Hannah matched her until that bogey. But what a match. I didn't get to see any of it because I was so engrossed in the PGA. But Hannah Green was going for her 3rd win of 2024. So 2 of the hottest players on the LPGA Tour as we get into the U.S. Open at Lancaster coming up. So it should be really good.
It's funny. It made me think, and someone even posted about this. I think it was Monday Q. We were struggling to find coverage of this Scotty stuff. Nothing was live. They were cutting in on SportsCenter, and then they were going back to the NBA playoffs. It just shows you how golf still has some. Imagine if LeBron is arrested on the way to the NBA Finals. Every station would have that on.
Oh yeah, the morning news
8:30 to get the live from. Not even live from, because Golf Channel was nothing.
Yeah, they were showing, I guess, the European tour or something. I don't know what was going on there, but yeah. You're right. Good Morning America would patch in if it was LeBron James or something.
100%.
Yeah.
Totally. And we're waiting for 8:30 to log on to the ESPN app,
right?
To get a little soundbite from it. But yeah, that just crazy. But traveling for golf, right? I mean, there's nothing better than it. The group text with your friends waiting to go on the trip. Make sure you check out our official golf partners, All Access GT. Head to their Instagram page. They just posted a great picture with our guy, Roy Clark, narrating about golfing in Ireland. But in our Instagram bio, there's a special portal for our listeners to unlock the experiences you've always dreamed of. They have decades of experience crafting unforgettably tailored golf adventures. Don't try to do this on your own if you want to go someplace special. Yes, you can go book a round of golf somewhere, but not this. Not a buddy's trip to St. Andrews, right? Knowing where to go into Ireland. Elevate your golf experience at All Access GTA. That's the link in our Instagram bio for a special portal for our listeners to unlock the experiences you've always dreamed of. We talked about those guys will be back for our golf outing for your chance to win a trip to Ireland on them. So
yeah,
love the guys over at All Access.
Yeah, I might have to call over there because the wife and I are going to Scottsdale in December. Now, we already have the hotel for the week. We're at the Fairmount Princess, which is right off the 5th hole at TPC Scottsdale.
Oh, nice.
And we'll end up playing there for sure. But I need some recommendations for, 3 or 4 other golf courses that we could get on.
Yeah.
And maybe some other places to eat, places to get a good drink, that kind of stuff, because they know everything about every place.
Yep. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But we had, like we said, it's tough after a major, right? Especially if it's not an elevated event. But the Charles Schwab Challenge, three of the top 10 golfers with Scotty, Max, and Morikawa.
Yep.
Right. You have past champions in Spieth and Justin Rose, who played incredible. Colonial, Fort Worth, Grillo got the win last year. It's an interesting list of winners. 23, you have Grillo, 22, Burns, 21, Kokrak. I remember that.
He was on live and nobody even knows he's there.
No, not at all. But let's start with the course, of course. Sarah, tell us about this one.
Yeah, this is one of those golf courses where all different kinds of players can win. You can't overpower this place. The Bombers, they don't have as big of an advantage, or really an advantage at all at this place. In 1936, designed by Perry Maxwell, who also designed Southern Hills, where they had a couple of PGA championships, some U.S. Opens in the past, most recently Justin Thomas winning the PGA. Perry Maxwell designed, but it's been redesigned and restored and renovated by our buddy Gil Hance. So I don't really know as much about the new golf course, except to say that they looked at photos from the back in the 30s and early 40s. They had a U.S. Open here in 1941, and they looked at a lot of the photographs of the way the golf course looked then, and they returned it to that. What had happened is, the ruggedness, sort of the natural rugged aesthetic that had existed there, that looked like you were in Texas, sort of became modernized, where the bunkers were more symmetrical, and they were less rough edged, and the greens became circular and in shape. Well, they're going back to the original. I can't wait to see it. I took a look at a video, the Fried Egg account on YouTube, and it showed you a couple of the holes, and it looks really spectacular. So Gil Hance looks like he's done another one. They've gotten rid of a lot of the hardscapes and returned it back to the Trinity River tributary is very apparent that runs through the golf course now. Natural hazards. 7,300 yards, not the longest of golf courses for the PGA Tour. 2 par 5s, only 2. The first hole's a par 5, and then the 11th. And then they got 4 par 3s, 4, 8, 13, and 16. The Horrible Horseshoe, which is what you're going to be hearing about. It's one of the toughest 3-hole stretches on the PGA Tour year in and year out. You got a 483-yard par 4 third hole. Then you go to a long par 3, 247. And then you go to a long par 4 that runs along the Trinity River, 481 yards. If you go through there without making a bogey any of the days, you're playing some golf. It's a really tough stretch. Bermuda grass fairways and rough. They have bent grass greens. They're small greens, the 6th smallest on PGA Tour, averaging around 5,000 square feet. And it's the 10th toughest golf course they play, according to the data, and the 4th narrowest. So pretty tight. You think of Harbor Town, Innisbrook, even Sedgefield is a correlated golf course to this one. So guys that have done well at those golf courses will tend to play this one very well as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yep.
About 7 of the last 8 winners gained over 5 strokes putting. Think about Spieth, Kevin Na, Kisner, guys like that.
Right.
You got to putt here. This is from our friend Jeff Ogilvy, of course, with these great stats. The last 4 winners played in the PGA Championship. Each of the last 11 winners had a T8 or better in one of their last 6 starts, right? So another course where you have to be playing well, right? And when you talk about a course that plays that hard. But as we move over to see the line with our friends at DraftKings, if you're going to be watching any of this week's tournament, here's a better pro tip than you'll get from any caddy. Check out Draftkings Sportsbook, an official betting operator of the PGA Tour, and get in on all the action. From the first tee through the final putt, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boost, and so much more. New to DraftKings? Listen up. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $150. Just deposit at least $50, and you'll get a bonus bet back equal to your first bet if it doesn't hit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code DING. That's code D-I-N-G, DING, for new customers to get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500 if your first bet doesn't hit. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, www.800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. One no sweat bet per customer, issued as a bonus bet on the amount of initial losing bet. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.co/T for eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
I think that got longer since I read it when you were out.
New version.
Oh,
New version. They're working on trying to like get this stuff shortened, and sometimes like, with different advertisers we deal with, you can give like a phone number, like for all things, call this number. But as regulated as this stuff is, it's
and as state by state as it is.
Yeah, exactly. But we digress, and we see the line. I gave you some of the stats. Some of the odds. Scheffler's down to 260 now, Harry, on DraftKings.
Oh, it was 280 the last time I looked, man. Oh.
He's 260. Morikawa 1200. Max Homa 2000. Spieth 2200. Tony Finau. Harry, to me, Tony Finau's the next Scheffler. No, I'm sorry,
Schauffele.
Xander Schauffele, right? Like, here's a guy with so much talent that if he ever flipped a switch and just wanted to kill out there, I think he would dominate. But he just seems to be happy to be out there, and his personality is so laid back. It's like, I would love to see him just like really, really dig in and go for it. But
it just doesn't seem to be in his personality, as you mentioned. But I mean, he's got a handful of wins. He's got 5 or 6 wins now, and was pretty hot there for a little while. It's cooled off of late, but a lot of people like him in fantasy this week.
A couple guys. I mean, I don't have a ton for this. I'm going to see how this goes after day one. But I mean, a guy like Spieth, who's won here twice, he's got multiple T2s. His number actually changed. He went to 2200. He actually his odds went up a little bit. Justin Rose coming off a great week. He's got a win here. He's also got a T3 here at 4,500. I mean, the fact that number is where it is with some of the other guys above him,
and with how well he played last week, like it's coming in with good form.
Yep. And then I talked about Sanjay in the one and done. So I'm gonna stay with it. Guess what? Justin Rose went down to 5,500 now.
Wow.
Like Taylor Moore is the same odds as him. Bezuidenhout is better.
Your guy.
Minwoo Lee, Tom Hoge. Like, the disrespect for Rosie.
Yeah.
It's an outrage.
Palpable. It is palpable.
What do you think?
But you mentioned Spieth too, and I don't have him this week, but this is one of these places where he just gets jazzed. Like, he loves this place. Even if he's not coming in great form, he can light it up at this place. There's something about it. I like Harris English this week in a top 20 at plus 140. He's was 12th here last year, second back in 2016, had a 5th in 2012, and he's coming off a pretty good week at the PGA where he finished 18th. Your guy Dietrich, I like him in a top 20 at plus 210. He was 21st here last year, 4th last week at the PGA, and he had a second a while back in Houston. Austin Eckroat, top 30 at plus 115. He was 16th last year. Was 18th at the PGA last week. Good week. And he won at Cognizant a few months ago. I mentioned Brian Harman as my one and done. He just plots it around, and he's got it. His putter gets as hot as it can be. He can light this place on fire. 2 fantasy plays. I like to pick some of the guys that are kind of down the board a little bit that you need to have your roster so you can use a Scotty Scheffler. Andrew Putnam has made 11 of 13 cuts, 2 top 10s this year. He was 3rd at this joint back in 2019, and he's $7,400 on DraftKings. And also Adam Schenk. He was a runner-up here last year, lost in that playoff to Grillo. 12 of 16 cuts, 1 top 10 thus far this year. He was 12th at the Masters, 5th at the Valero Texas Open, and I mentioned runner-up here last year, $7,400 on DraftKings.
Like, how about a matchup? Again, I'm sticking with the Justin Rose team, but you can get him even money straight up against Keegan Bradley.
Wow. Yeah. What? Are they both minus 110?
Justin Rose is plus 100. Keegan's minus 120.
Oh, okay. So he's the underdog.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Rosie's not getting respect.
No. Dietrich in some matchups too. Take a look at him, because I don't think people have caught up to him yet. But
no.
Yeah. All right, great stuff, Harry. I know we were working on a guest for this week. We'll work on it for next week. Great story. Awesome stuff that we need to learn about and hear about. But good to talk to you about the PGA Championship, because I thought it was awesome and there was so much to talk about. But
what about the Memorial Day weekend golf for you? Because I'm playing 4 straight days, it looks like.
I think I might get 1 round in late Friday.
Yeah, I'm playing late Friday as well. But we have a Memorial Day scramble on Monday morning, which is always fun.
Yeah.
And Sunday of a round with the wife. Saturday, another round with a couple of guys. And Friday, I'm looking really forward to Friday's round.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice. Beautiful.
Work on that takeaway.
That's right. That's right.
Get a little inside, just a touch inside.
Yeah. Get off of that right foot. The help is out there, Har.
Yep.
The help is out there for you. We just got to make it happen. All right. We'll be back next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.